Hi there, Dr. Carlos Todd here. I'm back with another video where we talk about how to fight less, love more. So what are we talking about today? Today we're going to talk about how do you handle criticism without defensiveness. So a lot of relationships, there's criticism. People struggle with criticism. And criticism can be, there's a whole class on the different types of criticism and so on. But today we're just going to talk about how do you handle criticism, understanding what criticism is. Right? Part of the understanding what defensiveness is, not criticism, right? I mean, the focus here is how do you manage criticism without defensiveness. The idea is that sometimes criticism is justified and sometimes defensiveness is justified. And so it is important, I think, if you're in a relationship or even in a workplace, to really focus on how, if you have a criticism, is how it's said, right? So if you start that criticism with you did this, you're the kind of person who is, you are, I know you were always like this, right? You may have a legitimate concern that the person is maybe not organized, or that person maybe is not pulling their weight at home, that person is not, spending time with you, whatever the thing is. Like, it's a legitimate criticism. I think it's important to recognize how you say the thing. It matters, right? So a way to say something that is critical, say for example that your partner is not spending time with you. You could say, you never spend any time with me, you're always at work, or I miss you. I miss spending time with you, and I really want to get back to that, right? Same issue, different way of expressing that concern. So that's something I want you to keep in mind. And then on the issue of defensiveness is a challenge, because defensiveness can be justified, especially if the other person says something that is, is kind of off. But keep in mind that in most of these conflicts, what you're trying to avoid is escalation. Once there's escalation, you lose the plot. No matter what the issue is. Escalation breeds more escalation, and then harm is done, and some of that harm is not repairable. Some of that harm could have been avoided, and you're really not solving the issue anyway. So the focus may need to be on, yes, I don't like this, but how do I say this thing in a different way so that I am heard, my partner is heard, and so on, right? Because one of the things that Gottman, who is a world-renowned psychologist, talks about, and it's something that I've recognized in my work too, is that defensiveness is one of the four horsemen, right? He calls it the four horsemen of the apocalypse, right? It's one of those things that if it persists in the relationship, it creates a problem with being hearing and being heard. And the end result is that with these four horsemen, the one, defensiveness, the possibility of divorce or separation becomes super high if defensiveness persists. So you don't want that stuff persisting in your relationship, even though you may be justified in protecting yourself in a situation or feeling the need to protect yourself. So the idea, I think, is being able to kind of focus in on how do you respond in a way that doesn't breed escalation. And so that's the thing that I want you to kind of keep in mind. And so I want you to kind of think about that, right? And think about the fact that sometimes the other person is responding to their own underlying fears. Sometimes the other person doesn't really have all the skills necessary to kind of talk through the issues, right? And so you have this responsibility, I think, to keep the room calm as much as they do, right? But if you're aware of a new skill, you probably should use it. So when it comes to defensiveness, there are a couple of things to consider. One is that be able to kind of do a body check. If your heart rate is going, you're feeling stressed, that's oftentimes an indication that your brain is interpreting the information that it's hearing in an adversarial way. And sometimes you gotta breathe, literally, just to calm yourself down. Sometimes you may need to ask for a break, like, hey, this conversation seems to be kind of getting more intense. I need a break to kind of get myself together so I can actually hear you. Because we know that the stress hormones that raise heart rate and cause you to feel those physical symptoms, they actually can affect how you hear, how loud you hear things, what you hear, matter, right? What you focus in on. And so being able to calm yourself down, it matters. And then being able to reshape how you say things from, oh, I didn't say that, or that didn't happen, or it doesn't matter, or I don't know why we were talking about this, to, fairly stressed in this situation, but I'm doing my best to hear you. I'm really working hard to hear you. And I tell couples all the time that it may feel like you want to throw up in your mouth when you say these things in these strange new ways, but your brain gets used to it over time and saying things in a different way, and over time, you're able to do it more naturally. So don't be worried about the fact that it seems awkward to say, hey, I'm feeling somewhat defensive, I need some time, or I don't necessarily see things in the same way as you do, but I want to be able to understand you better. I want to be able to make sense of what you're saying, because you will be surprised if you can bring your defensiveness down. The other person may be a bit more open, and you can come up with creative ways to solve problems. And so that's a technique standpoint, something that you need to pay attention to. So keep that in mind. I think that is it for today's conversation. How to manage criticism without defensiveness, or how to manage your own defensiveness, right? And so that's the focus for today's video. Click the links below for my book in particular, which is a fight plan system. It's not just a book. It contains interactive exercises, which is something that you don't really see in books. So that's really kind of a strong selling point, in the sense that in the book itself, there are these exercises that you can do. It's pretty awesome. So my book Fight Plan is on Amazon. You should take a look at it. I will see you on the next video, where we talk about how to fight less, love more.